Little Caesars changed the game, bro.
They did.
Little Caesars changed. That's the most childish shit ever.
Hey, Chewy, blood. They want you on the podcast, bro. Look, he Mexican, bro. You gotta put him on.
Am I interrupting your depression? I'm sorry.
This week's episode of The Voice Party is brought to you by Big Boy Raps. Get your car wrapped by some of the most experienced and skilled in the Bay. Big Boy Raps, where the big boys play.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Voice Party. We got JD next to me. What's going on?
What's up, man? I'm excited right here. What's going on?
Dude, you say you're excited. My name is Marcos. We got Black Joaquin. What's going on?
Marcos, happy to be here as always, man.
Joaquin, just real quick. You know why I'm excited.
Oh, yes.
About this episode.
Absolutely.
All right.
You're hydrated, right?
I am hydrated. Yeah. We got Corday Snells. What's going on? Snails.
I didn't have an answer to my name. I'm good. I'm excited because I'm wearing my beanie. I like beanie. Yeah.
Big, beautiful foreheads.
Big, beautiful foreheads. Hell yeah.
That's right. We got Phil's on the 1 and 2. What's going on?
I'm good. I got my sugar-free Monster, Breakfast of Champions. I should be fine for the rest of the day.
Awesome. There we go. Awesome. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got a very special guest. And when I say special, I mean very special.
How special?
This man right here is one of the reasons I became a lead singer. Oh. This is not even a joke. This is when I started my band, I focused a lot on trying to be like him in his band.
What's the name of your band?
My band is named Tomorrow's June.
Tomorrow's not June, but okay.
Fucking hate you, Corday. Ruining my intro. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Zach Porter. Woo!
Thank you so much. Wow,
this is huge.
That's I'm so humbled. That's amazing.
This is huge. You do not understand.
We figured we wait to tell you all that once we were already here.
Yeah.
We were eating pizza. It wasn't the right appropriate time to.
It feels good.
When I first started writing songs, I was trying to write songs like Dance Forever and like all that. Like I was trying to mimic that. I have a song called Whatever. It was you, Jonas Brothers, and Hot Shell Ray. Those are around those were the bands that all influenced like what I started to do.
And your band's called Tomorrow's June.
Yeah.
Are you still active?
Yes, we are.
Oh, that's so cool.
Hold on. I have to give you this because if not, I'm gonna regret it. Can you pass that over?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's my band.
Now I can come see Tomorrow's June.
Oh, hell, that would make my life.
Especially if you're playing in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
I never leave the Bay Area now. So.
Awesome. Yeah. So, okay.
Can we have some questions?
I only have, we have to start off.
Let him live, JD. Let him live, man. This is
did you guys know the Notes app runs out?
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yes, I do. I learned that.
You don't have anything planned for the rest of the day, do you?
No, I'm good.
All right, cool. Okay, real question, right? How did you end up in Richmond, in the Bay Area?
Yeah.
Because my idols are not supposed to be where I'm from, right?
Whoa, dude.
Like,
whoa.
No. Like, it's okay, but I'm asking, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so out of reach sometimes for 99% of people.
Yeah.
You never expect that. How did you end up here?
It's really random. There's probably a short and a long and a medium version of the story. Moved up here for college.
Okay.
After the band, I decided to go to college when I was about 26.
Okay.
And I went to UC Berkeley after I transferred from a community college in San Diego.
Cool. Yeah.
And then a bunch of other stuff happened. I got into teaching. I was volunteering at Fremont High School in Oakland, and one thing led to another. And then I got my master's in teaching up here too. And then during COVID, I was about to start teaching. I was doing my student teaching when it shut down, when we shut down, and moved back to San Diego in with my parents during that time. Could not find a teaching job at all. It sucked. Eventually became a substitute teacher on Zoom, and then that led to a full-time teaching job in San Diego. But I had never really wanted to leave the Bay Area. It had been great. And my girlfriend is from the Bay Area. This is the Richmond connection. Her dad's from Richmond. He went to Richmond High. All of his brothers went to Richmond High. And so my teaching contract was ending. I was looking for another job. got an email from my teacher ed program. A teacher at Kennedy was just looking for English teachers. And I was like, Kennedy's in Richmond, right? I'm going to apply. And yeah, I got the job. That's awesome. And we moved back up. And now I don't plan on changing.
Yeah. We're happy to have you too at the K.
Yeah, it really worked out.
At the K. Yeah, that's what I call it. That's what I call it.
Yeah. Awesome.
When you said it was two things, I thought you were going to say witness protection.
This is kind of, I guess, if any Costa Rican fan sees this is sort of my coming out and locating myself, because
I was gonna say,
I don't have social. I just realized that in this very moment. I don't have social media anymore. I've been offline since 2015.
I was gonna say I couldn't find anything.
I'm kind of on purpose, sort of a ghost. I probably should have thought of that before, but it's whatever now.
I gotta go, guys.
Yeah.
You're like, fuck.
Yeah, and there's no real reason for that other than
Are you more content without social media and stuff like that? Because social media was really on the rise when the band was kind of ending.
And the landscape has changed so much.
100%.
Yeah. So, so to
all your MySpace followers?
Yeah, I'm alive and well. I think the only other reaction I've heard of recently that some fans knew about is I saw one of Costa Rican, our bass player Cameron, last week, and because I was down in LA for a wedding, and he took a April Fool's picture of me, and so I was spotted on an Instagram story.
Okay,
but I kind of like to be like in the wild, every once in a while.
What's the name of your band again? Can you say it?
It was called Allstar Weekend.
Allstar Weekend.
It's one of the greatest bands of all time.
Also, don't worry.
That's an amazing name. I'm not gonna lie. As a huge sports guy, fucking amazing name.
You know, it's
because it's all the best. It's all the best.
The only thing that's killing me right now is that they just named the NBA All-Star Weekend. Like, they just had that, and so everything on YouTube is
it's
All-Star
changed.
Weekend. Yeah,
big point of pride for us back in the day. We got like a cease and desist letter from the NHL because we were coming up before them in the All-Star Weekend searches. And
that's awesome. That's amazing.
Genius.
It was awesome.
No, who cares about NHL All-Star Weekend? Fuck that. The group is way better.
Right.
That's your fault, NHL. You need to rethink your business model. All right.
Right.
Also, you don't have to worry about that. Nobody watches this show. So
all 17 viewers. Okay. Are you
3 in Canada and 6 in Ireland, right?
Yeah. Are you still writing music at all, or is it any part of your life at all still, or are you like, I'm done with that part of my life?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and there was a whole after All-Star Weekend, I'd had another band.
I was gonna say it's hold on. See if I got this right.
Tragic
Thrills.
The Tragic Thrills. Yeah, I released 2 records. This is the Tragic Thrills.
Okay.
But yes, music is. I think the last Tragic Thrills record was 2017. But I still do it all the time. I have a recording setup in my apartment. Made some acoustic sound panels.
Awesome.
It's still part of your life.
It's still part of my life. I have aspirations for another album someday. But we'll see if it ever happens.
Okay. Are you and the guys still good? Is everything cordial, or is it?
Yeah, I mean we're not as tight as we were in high school. But I still see Cameron the most. Cameron's the bass player. And but he lives in LA, so I don't see him that often. And Michael and Nathan, I saw at Cameron's wedding in 2018 or 19.
Okay.
So
I saw Nathan recently on TikTok. He's managing another pop punk band right now. Is that something that you've ever thought about, like
managing bands?
Yeah.
No. Yeah. I specifically, I left the music industry for a lot of reasons, but the business part of it was my least favorite part of it. And so if I do anything in music again, it would be solely creative.
Independent. It's always baffling to see, like, because obviously you guys had success. It's like what made you step away from? That's coming from someone who's like, you know, I want to get to.
I was gonna ask that.
Yeah.
It's like for someone who hasn't been there in your shoes, right? How do you?
It's like, how do you walk away?
How do you walk away? How do you step away from that?
Yeah.
You know, when I did, I was surprised by some of the resentment I received for doing so, and I do get it. But it was interesting. I thought people would be like, "Oh, it's cool, Zach." Like, you know,
Yeah.
we're glad you're happy. But there was a lot of like, "What the hell? You gave up this amazing opportunity."
Right.
Again, there's like always a long story and a short story. It was killing me. That's why I stopped to live. Essentially, I hated who I'd become. We started as friends in high school, and as much as we are still connected today in some ways, in other ways, it really cut a deep divide in our friendship.
You started as friends.
Yeah. It's a
business started getting in the way.
Yeah, it's a hard life. It was a hard life for me, and I can only speak for myself in that way. And I haven't really looked back with much regret about the leaving part of it. I have regrets about things that we did at the time, but I wouldn't say that I regret quitting.
Is there anything in particular that you remember, like, if I could go back, I probably wouldn't have done that, and it could have probably changed the trajectory of where we went, or? Yeah,
I thought about this a lot, and I think the one thing that in general I would have changed is we had an awesome, dedicated fan base. We had this awesome platform where we could write music and immediately have people that would listen to it and react to it and respond to it. And that was just an amazing gift. And we were so young and so wrapped up in trying to be bigger and record labels and all that stuff. I wish that I had put more, kind of as sort of, and I think there's a connection to teaching now, but I wish I'd used our voice and platform to like do something, or I wish we had moved in towards social justice in some way, as opposed to just being this band trying to get bigger.
Right.
And I regret that we didn't have more of a stance for something.
I think I hear what you're saying. I feel like back then, when you're looking back into music and stuff, like, definitely, there was social injustices going on, but it was not nearly at like the voices weren't as strong as they are today, especially with social media going on. Like,
very rare did someone step into that line too.
I think especially when it came to music, because growing up, I could be totally wrong about this, but I don't recall too many of my favorite artists stepping in and speaking out about some stuff. Very rarely did I see that,
in the 80s. So when
in the 80s and stuff, but like when it came to like the like,
well, rap has always had like a
but
voice,
like early 2000s,
we're talking about rock and pop,
you didn't see that. And also, especially, you guys were signed with Disney, with Hollywood Records for a while. So that was kind of, I don't know if that would have been a no-no, but like, it kind of, you got to really be careful with what you're saying, because if it goes off brand or whatever.
So when did you guys like what the year then like you guys like signed with Disney, and then like what year was that? Because I'm trying to, like, I don't know when you guys started, like I'm trying to get the timeline, like, right?
So, do you want I guess a short little history?
Yeah, absolutely. We do, and so does the listening audience.
So once upon a time in 2008, we graduated high school. And we immediately started trying to make it. We were some of us were doing community college classes, different things like that. Two of us were still in high school, and the band was different back then. There was actually 5 members at the time. Tom didn't
left pretty early on in the process, but he came back right later on. He didn't come back later on, but of all of us, he's the one who's killing it the most. He's a Grammy-winning producer. Cool. Work with Lady Gaga and all kinds of people. He's like dope. He was always just an incredibly talented producer, and he was the one that recorded us. So in high school, Allstar Weekend was like the final iteration of a lot of different projects that Nathan and I, the guitar player, had been a part of. Some of them were like pop punk bands. And then Allstar Weekend really forms out of this band called Outer Space Politicians that we had formed, that had a little following on MySpace back in the day. And so we were moving away from our like pop punk sound because Tom was this great like electronic producer, and I moved off the bass and started singing for the first time, and we created some songs. In fact, Dance Forever was, I think, written. We were definitely in high school when Dance Forever was written. So anyway, we had these songs, and we had a little following on MySpace, and we were playing local shows in San Diego, and we just started really going for it in 2008 and 2009. We started busking a lot. So we were going up to LA all the time and just playing outside of concerts. That's great. We would any money we had, we would just buy a bunch of flyers and just go outside and flyer the shit out of these concerts. A lot of Jonas Brothers concerts. Yeah. And one day we were outside of the El Capitan Theater in Hollywood. And this casting director from Disney took the flyer from, I think it was me. I don't know if I'm mythologizing. I think I was the one, but and put us in this Radio Disney contest. And GT. Which we didn't win. I think we got runner up. That led to several showcases with different, I think we showcased with Universal and a few other labels, and eventually with Hollywood, and Hollywood is the pop subsidiary area of
Disney Records.
Yeah, so there's Walt Disney. They've combined now, I think. I don't really know, but it used to be Walt Disney Records made the soundtracks for the movies.
I think they're still separate to a certain degree.
That makes sense. I'm so out of touch with it all now. And then Hollywood Records was they released the roster when we got there was Jonas Brothers, Miley, Selena, Gomez, and then weirdly like Breaking Benjamin, Plain White T's. Was Plain White T's on there with you guys? Plain White T's was on there with us.
Emily Osment.
I think Emily was on Walt Disney Records, I think, but we did tour with Emily. That was one of our first tours, was a mall tour with Emily Osment.
I have a question about that.
So we got signed, and this is too many details. I'll speed up. Long story short, we get signed. Things get pretty good for us. I think we ultimately put out somewhere between 2 and 5 records, depending on what you count as a record. Them as, and had a pretty big following in the States and Canada and in, like the UK, and we must have gone on like 15 tours. I have no idea. We went on a lot of tours.
As you're telling this, I look back to get confirmation from Marco.
Yes, this is correct.
We put out a bunch of records. Never got so big for a lot of different reasons, but definitely big enough to go play shows and have an awesome time. Or not sometimes. Not an awesome time. And then our last record, just to kind of wrap up the story, our last record didn't sound like... Our last record was after we had left Hollywood Records. We asked to get out of our contract, and they were actually they allowed us to get out of our contract. And
pretty easy, or was there like...
Yes, they wanted something different it was
mutual.
It was easier for both of us, and it ended up being a great situation for us. We had our biggest tour ever right after leaving them, and that was awesome. What was I going to say? Oh, so the last record didn't sound like Allstar Weekend, and we decided
to not put it out as Allstar Weekend and end the band. And so our last tour was Warped Tour in 2013.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit. Damn.
And after Warped Tour 2013, Houston, the last show, we ended the band for good. Mm-hmm. We released the first record as The Tragic Thrills, and some of the members, Cameron and Michael, and then another like auxiliary member, Brent, were involved for the first tour with that. But then it ended up just being me, and I wrote another record with another group of guys and called it The Tragic Thrills. And that was the last thing I did. But yeah, that's the sort of the story. Nice. Or parts of the story. Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Right.
Appreciate
yeah.
That.
Yeah.
When you get to, so you get runner-up on MBT, the competition, and when you guys are like getting scouted, doing all these showcases and stuff, you land on Hollywood Records. Mm-hmm. Do you guys have any leverage? Because I want to speak a little bit too on, for musicians that are like actually want to know detail about certain things, if this is okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any leverage on record deals at all, or do you kind of sign the first thing they hand you?
Yeah.
And with the side note, what's your advice to people today? If Hollywood Records came to my band and was like, hey, this is kind of the same thing we've offered everyone. Is it worth taking that path versus not? I know times have changed a little bit, but like initially,
you have very little say in it, right. Especially with a mega company like Disney. Their business model is really, we have so much capital with this brand, and like if you want to play, you're gonna do it like this, and you're gonna do it for cheap because that's how we roll. Right. And so we left more money on the table to go with Disney because we thought, and to go with Hollywood because we thought that
long term
they could do more for us, and it would be a better
pay out in the long run.
Yeah.
Wow.
Was that kind of the case? Did you see some of that turning around?
I don't know. So the one thing about Disney is they rely so heavily on all their platforms. Right. One of those platforms is not radio, though, and radio is really irrelevant now. But at the time, that's how singles were pushed and at other labels, and even when our sales were great, they never would do a radio push for us because, by comparison, it's like we at our height when we were doing like 20,000 singles a week, it was like, well, Selena's doing 40,000 singles a week, right? And it's like, well, we don't have a TV show, we're right. And so it's we never got that push to radio, and other bands that were smaller than us at other labels did get that shot, and it always left others to wonder.
Right. That always confused me too, because kids growing up as Disney fans and stuff, we saw that. We were wondering why the Jonas Brothers barely got on radio until Burning Up, but they were already selling out arenas by that point. You know what I mean? It made no sense. They could have been huge. I mean, even at that time, they could have been even bigger, right? I think they turned out fine now, but it was kind of that weird mentality. Same thing with R5 that came out after you guys and stuff. They weren't pushing radio at all. Do you think? Because you guys would do radio tours though, right? Like you guys would hit them up.
A little bit when the All the Way record, the next record came out, and there was a little hope that the song "Not Your Birthday" would go to radio. They would send us to.
What are you laughing at?
these titles, man.
Not your birthday. I will go through all these songs with you later today.
All-Star Weekend, yo. Not Your Birthday.
These are good titles. I'm not gonna lie.
Next level.
Yeah. So we did a little bit of, we would do the radio visits and play an acoustic song, but I would say probably on tour, maybe in 5 of the 30 cities we would go to.
Oh, no way. It was that little?
Well, because how it works is they usually, at least how it used to work, and this is all like dinosaur stuff because, I mean, everything's different now, but they would send you to like the C market and you'd play there and they'd see how the song would do. And
The C market.
Yeah, I remember going and like doing a radio show in like Augusta, Georgia.
I got some homies from there.
Yeah, I mean it was really nice. I had a great time, but yeah, it's not.
No, yeah, I've seen some interviews on YouTube recently of like the little alt stations and stuff that you guys were playing in, like you know, in not like huge stations.
Yeah.
Where
Can I ask a question?
Sure. Yeah. Yes, son. You're allowed to ask a question.
So, would it be fair to say that if you had to do it all over again, would you not go with Disney? Disney's our sponsor, just so you know.
Mr. Eisner, I promise.
I mean, this is people hate when I say this, but part of me wants to say that I don't know if I would even do music again.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very grateful, and it's shaped who I am in so many ways.
Sure.
But I think that is more the philosophical question than doing Disney or another group. I think I would have paid the price either way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's really
so it's just the industry in general, not specifically. Mm-hmm. Yeah, got it. Okay.
The what if that Cameron, our bass player, always asks is what if that first Tragic Thrills record, if we had just released it as Allstar Weekend, because he thought it was a really good record.
Yeah.
And that is another hypothetical too. There are a lot of different paths we could have taken.
Okay, so when you say that record that never came out, is this the record that in 2013 that you guys had decided to release it as All-Star Weekend, and then you guys just like they said like nothing ever came out of that?
Yeah.
There was apparently talks of another album.
Yeah, it was. I don't remember how exactly we told fans.
You said we have decided. I have this all down. We have decided it would be more appropriate to thank you in an All-Star Weekend release. As you may know, we are releasing an album of all unreleased B-sides. The CD will be for the holiday season. However, and then goes. Then the article goes. However, by January 2014, nothing had been heard, and we assumed that the album was no longer in process.
We never did that. I think that was a big push from our managers. To this day, they're always trying to get us to release All-Star Weekend B-sides.
Are you guys still with them contractually, or?
I don't know.
Have you seen Bruce Almighty? Have you seen Bruce?
I have, yes.
You know the scene where he pulls out the drawer of everything he's ever said? God pulls
Yeah.
I have that.
You evil, spiteful God. Like he's reading down. Like that's what this reminds me.
I will say this gentleman has already told us he doesn't like the business half. So of course I wouldn't expect you to know if you're still contracted.
Yeah.
Well, I still talk to them.
You still talk to them. Okay.
I know what they're up to and stuff, but
and they want you guys to.
Yeah, I'll get the annual text. You know, we should.
Hey, dude, just come to the studio.
Time for a revival.
Yeah.
So you said the initial album or released the album is different or it's not as All-Star Weekend. What do you mean by that? Is that an album when you guys were just trying to change the name and go away from All-Star Weekend, or are you saying like before you signed to a label, is you just released it then? Like, is that what you're talking about?
So this album was this was an album that we recorded with the intention of it being an All-Star Weekend album, but the sound, I was going for a different sound.
Outside of the contract, you said, right? Outside of the contract?
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys had just left Hollywood.
Yeah. Okay.
We had left Hollywood, and I wanted to do a record in Nashville. Mm-hmm. So there was this producer I really wanted to work with in Nashville. We went there. We did it. It was cool, a really cool time. It sounds dated to me now in some ways, but it was less. It was still poppy, but it was less poppy. A little more alternative and folky. Music. So, yeah.
I want to say though. Sorry, I just want to say that I love hearing you tell your story because you mentioned Warped Tour, you mentioned Disney, and then and now you're in the city where I've been shot at.
That's what I was saying. like where my buddy almost died.
Teaching and doing something for the youth, which is awesome. Yeah. Just
100%.
Yeah. Sorry.
No. Sorry, I do have like 12 more music questions, and then we can get to teaching if that's okay.
Yes.
However you want to do it.
Thank you for taking the lead on this.
I barely just stopped shaking right now, okay?
On the second album of...
It's on the third day of the month. No. No.
Where were you on the night of June 29th?
I was on the Warped Tour, gentlemen.
So where were you really during 9/11?
Sixth grade.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so how old are you?
33.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay. I'll be 33 in a few weeks.
Yeah.
Happy almost birthday.
Hey, thank you. I've aged horribly.
You got to party like it's not your birthday, bro.
I'll be 34 in June.
Wow.
No one cares, Corday. Calm down.
That was a callback to your group, dude, to your band. June.
No one gives a fuck about tomorrow's June right now. We have All-Star Weekend in the building. Shut the fuck up. You think I care about those guys right now?
One of those guys is your brother, man.
The last question he's going to ask you if you want to join.
Are you looking for another band to join? No, okay.
We're right here in Richmond.
He's like, as long as you guys don't fucking tour, I'm down. No, okay. So like, going from, you said the Emily Osment tour was like a mall tour. Mm-hmm. Where did you see the difference? And did you guys tour Selena as well? Yeah. I thought I read that. Yeah. Okay. So what's the difference between like...
I thought you said Selena. It's like, oh, yeah.
Selena Gomez, yeah. Touring with Selena Gomez versus like the Warped Tour. What are like, I think someone can envision that, but like what are like maybe some behind the scenes differences that people don't really know?
Yeah, it's like staying at a Marriott versus like a Motel 6. It's like it's behind the sines. It's an arena tour with Selena Gomez with all of the nicest things, and then Warped Tour is fun, but it's just every blacktop parking lot in America, hot as hell, and
right.
And then in terms
dehydrated
of like, it's a different kind of show you're putting on. Although we were. Neither of those tours were headlining tours for us, so it's a very short set. You're playing for like 35 minutes,
right?
And yeah, I don't know. They're just a totally different experience in terms of like the audience, because that was Selena's first headline U.S. tour, and her audience was still very young,
right.
So it was families coming out to see Selena. And
you guys feel like you kind of have to pull back a lot, like not cuss or let anything slip.
It's a very sort of PG kind of thing, and everyone's watching because there are people from the label there all the time, and there's a microscope on everything.
Right.
Warped Tour was fun. I was so over at this point because I had just come out with a record and Allstar Weekend was ending. Mm-hmm. I was checked out emotionally, but it was kind of a lifelong dream because I'd gone to Warped Tour as a kid and all of that stuff, so it was really cool. It's a weird fit for Allstar Weekend to be on Warped Tour because we were a pop band, and so that we definitely
would you guys consider yourself just pop, or would you say pop rock? Because you guys are what I envisioned pop rock was.
Yeah, I think we were definitely when we started. I think like the Suddenly Yours album, the first album was a pop rock album. All the way felt like we were trying to make a pop album. There are fewer guitars on that record, less live drums, that kind of stuff. But yeah, Warped Tour, I'm trying to think. It was really cool. The great thing personally for me about Warped Tour is we shared a bus with this British band called the Alvarez Kings. And to some of my lifelong friends from that, it was a real adventure being with them on a personal level. So that was one of the coolest experiences for me, was just being with those guys.
I was actually going to ask you, there is a video I've seen of you guys. I think it was with... I was one of those interviewer, YouTube videos at the time. You guys were on Warped Tour. You guys were on the bus. But I was gonna ask, like, were you guys bussing it out all tours, or are you sharing buses throughout? Because I know they're expensive.
They're expensive, yeah.
And that was something I learned as I got older, that all bands didn't have their own buses. Like,
no, I guess when you really, really made it, you can buy the bus, but you rent it. It's about $1,000 a day.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's videos coming out now that they're like $225 now a day, because
inflation hits everything.
Yeah.
Inflation button.
So yeah, we had our own bus most tours except for that tour. We decided to
cut the cost a little bit.
Share which was great. It worked out awesome. But when we were full on touring, we had a crew of, it was 12 of us, because it was the band, which was 4 or 5, and then our sound guy and our tour manager and our merch person, and it was there was a whole crew, so we had the whole bus.
What would you say was your top moment when you were in the band and you had your run? Like, what would you say was for you?
The tour when we left Hollywood Records, the All the Way tour, I think collectively for us and the band, that was just a fun tour. It was us at our prime, live. We had a great show. We had like a 2-hour show. It was
awesome.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
We had a song wheel. We would do random like B-sides from back in the day.
Yeah.
We had the record that like our fans loved. That was the record that that everyone loved, and so it was a great night every night in every city.
Yeah, the most creative freedom then.
And we had total freedom.
That's what you want. Yeah.
That was an amazing run. So yeah.
You weren't just signed to Hollywood though, right? Did you have like 2 other labels, or that's what I thought I read? But
there was an indie one early on, right?
No, later on. Well, I don't remember, to be honest. But we were signed to Universal in Canada, and then.
Oh, that's why you wear the Canada flag on your.
Yeah. We went to Canada a lot.
I almost wore my bandana for this. I used to wear bandanas all the time.
I should bring back the bandana. That was fun.
Yeah.
But
wear it around your students.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, don't do that. No, don't do that. Not a Kennedy.
Yeah. You'll be kidnapped. They find out who you are.
Terrible idea. But yeah. And then there was Razor and Tie was at some point we were signed to them, and I think they're an indie label, but I don't remember how
exactly remember.
Went down.
This actually brings up a good question. That has any of your students found out about?
Yes.
Okay, and how did?
What's their reaction?
Yes.
Mostly just questions. I never bring it up. It's not.
Yeah. Mr. Porter, sit down.
I don't play the Not Your Birthday music video on the first day.
You don't use it as an icebreaker,
Someone in this room.
You know who the fuck I am?
Or like that.
You're about to see a different side of me right now. No, shut the fuck up.
Or that guy that plays you a song and then just like looks at you to see if you. Just do that to my students. Like,
you guys want extra credit? You're listening to an entire Spotify.
I want an essay on the first All-Star Weekend album.
This is
next week.
This is nowhere near that level, but I was at a bar and an old.
Why are you taking my phone?
Well, no, just to show you. Some old guy I used to know a long time ago went up to me. He looked different, so I don't know who he was. And he just had that unhealthy comedian on Tubi. He was like, that's kind of what you just described. Yeah,
totally.
But you guys used to just be All-Star though, right?
Yes.
You guys changed it to All-Star Weekend.
Yes.
What happened with that? What?
I think there was a legal reason we couldn't have the band name. Yeah.
Okay.
It was. I've blocked out of my memory how we landed on All-Star Weekend.
He's like, thanks for traumatizing me again.
It was definitely a writer's room. Like everybody had and by everybody I mean like our managers. Everyone was. It was a huge debate. Like, what are we gonna add to Allstar.
Yeah.
This is like you said, you took it out of here. This is like reverse therapy.
Yeah. I'm your anti-therapist. If you want me to, if you would ever like me to bring up any past.
Tell us why you hate it.
All I knew, we knew we weren't allowed to be called the Outer Space Politicians because everyone told us it was a terrible band name.
Dude, that's an awesome fucking name.
That's a great name. I think it would work now.
Yes.
Yeah.
I definitely see from a marketing standpoint why management teams and labels are probably like, look, you guys are young, good-looking dudes. Like, we need to market you guys like bigger.
Yeah.
So I get that possibly.
No, it makes sense. It's,
Well, I know, like I'm just very curious, like you kind of mentioned that you went to UC Berkeley, but at any point as a teacher, did you ever think about coming back to music on that level?
Not on that level, no.
But on that level, I mean, like, independent, like you were that tour you mentioned.
Oh, that, yeah. I think yes, but in a very casual way. I love it as a hobby. I'm so much happier.
Yeah.
I'm so much less stressed. I'm so much less angry.
Was that a big issue?
Yeah, it was.
I mean,
it was. I just felt. By the end, I was just stressed all the time. I didn't trust anyone. I was getting really cynical, too, and I was just kind of going through the world with like wearing this like shield of sarcasm and cynicism, and it sucked. It was
to protect yourself.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
Right.
I had kind of lost the plot a bit, I think, and I think I just needed to be.
A normal guy.
A normal guy.
Yeah. Normal teacher.
Yeah.
Enrichment.
Yeah. But that's a great. Before we get back to it, the other thing that people don't think about with touring is just how exhausting it is to travel.
Yeah.
And when you think about just the human body being in a different city every day, that's why it's really great to do it when you're in your early 20s when you're
when you can kind of handle it.
You've got all the energy and stamina and all that good stuff. Because you can
sleep 3 hours a week and
like a young puppy wagging his tail everywhere. Yeah. Like you got that young energy.
Yeah,
you wouldn't be able to do it now, huh?
I would. Yeah,
It is tiring. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I was like, remember this?
Well, I mean, but probably the different mindset too of you experiencing what you've already experienced, right? Because let's say you had a better experience. If you were today, you'd probably be like, yeah, I could still do it.
Yeah, and in some ways, I would probably be better at it.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. So
I was gonna say, knowing what you know now.
Yeah.
Might be like, I know what to do now.
Yeah.
And I know when to tell myself. Oh, actually, that's a good question. Were you ever able to tell management or labels and be like, hey, I need a break, or no?
I don't think I ever thought about asking for one at the time. Yeah. Okay. I was not fully processed and really aware of what I needed at the time.
Right.
So I have a very healthy relationship with work now, but I didn't at the time.
Right.
It's very good as being a teacher. You really need a healthy life balance with being a teacher.
You do. Yeah.
You're very stressful.
That makes you ahead of so many first-time teachers. Yeah. Understanding the break between work and personal life.
I never understood why teachers went to happy hour until I started teaching. I was like, oh, this is needed.
Yes, it's a sacred place. Yeah. It really is. Yeah, it's like church. It's like, we have a great crew at Kennedy. I'm really glad that we are able to like form community and just hang out on Fridays and talk about work or not. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Can I tell you one of my favorite performances of yours?
Absolutely.
And I don't know if anyone... No, I don't know if anyone knows about this. I think I'm like the only person that remembers this.
I'm laughing because you were talking about teaching. No. You just went back.
Yes. No. I have to say this. It's on my mention list. Your Walmart sound check. Do you remember doing those?
I do, yes.
Okay. The Walmart.com, like Walmart the store,
Yeah.
had a side, like a section on their website called Walmart Soundcheck. And they did everyone from Drake, All-Star Weekend, Jonas Brothers. They had cut like Jason Aldean, stuff like that, right? And it was basically like, they only put on like 4 or 5 songs of your guys' live. I don't know how many you actually did.
I think that's all we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was always sponsored by Degree. I
still wear it. Still wear it.
Yep,
To this day.
me too.
Yep.
Still wear it. But it was like, it was one of my favorite things, and I had the actual app for it on my iPad.
You do realize we're sponsored by Old Spice, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Old Spice? You said Allspice?
Old Spice.
No, but that was actually one of my like all-time favorite shows of yours, just because it was like professionally recorded, and there wasn't like too many professionally recorded videos of you guys out there.
Yeah.
In full band mode like that. So that was
an awesome. The production that went into that was really cool, and we filmed it in New York. In this I think it was a church or a synagogue. I can't remember, but this beautiful stained glass building that they brought in this whole film setup, and it felt like a really big deal.
Yeah.
There were several moments like that where like in music videos and things like that, where you're like, seems very expensive.
Right.
I can't believe how did we do this? Right. Or how are we doing this? But yeah, I remember that. That was cool.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I just had to mention that.
No, that's what I was going to ask is, you mentioned what brought you to Richmond. You said you had your girlfriend, her father was from here, right? That's
yes,
what you mentioned, yeah. And what I want to ask is what do you think of the city of Richmond? Because you know about the history and how it's definitely changing in a positive way, yes, for the most part. But what do you see, especially you that you're there with students,
Yeah, I am so grateful that I ended up at Kennedy and that I'm working in Richmond and part of the community. It's like, I don't know. I think it brings my girlfriend's family a lot of pride that I work there. It's like, her dad went to Kennedy's prom in like the 70s, and like it's just cool, I think, for me, because I grew up in San Diego in middle school and high school, but my dad was in the Navy, so we moved around a lot. And then the band, I was always everywhere, and so these years here it's the first time I've sort of felt like I've a sense of place. I think at UC Berkeley, I finally felt like a Californian, which was a new kind of experience for me. Okay. And then now I feel like being a teacher at Kennedy is like a part of is becoming a part of my identity in a really cool way. And I don't know, I really like teaching there because the students are fun to work with and just awesome people. I got into teaching because I was an English literature major, and I was interested in literacy and like equity and education, and I work with a lot of English learners, which at Kennedy we have a huge population of, and it's just really fun work. Like nerding out and working on how to do language in the world. I don't know. So I still feel like an outsider in some ways, and I'm new to Richmond, but it's like I think because I think the sort of strange life that I've led is kind of like something about Richmond is familiar or like connects to me in some way. I really don't know how to. I've been thinking about it a lot and how to articulate it. I think maybe in 2 years I'd have a more definite answer to give you.
It's a special place for sure.
Yeah, it's just there's something about it that's
it feels like home.
It does. It feels it feels like it feels real to me.
There you go.
It's funny you say that because like we do shows in Richmond, and we brought musicians and comedians from other places to Richmond, and some comic recently described it as one of the last cities of working class people in the Bay Area, and that's what they feel a difference show there as compared to other places. I'm describing that in the sense of art and performances, but it's also like you said. I'm sure for you there's a sense of giving back, doing what you're doing. And specifically in Kennedy.
No, definitely. That's a great point. Yeah, I think there's an authenticity to that sort of working class ethic in Richmond. And I think that I've been respected and welcomed when I'm honest and real with people in Richmond, and like being welcomed in that way is really meaningful to me. It's like very different than a place like LA, where you, as someone who had a lot of like anxiety around who I can trust, it's like in Richmond, the way that I speak to people, I feel like I feel a sense of trust, and
that's awesome.
Yeah,
and it's also awesome in a way. Like you're like a unicorn because it's like you Warped Tour and you're working at Kennedy, which I know a lot of alumni from Kennedy are like, I fucking never go back there.
Well, except for this alumni.
Oh yeah. No, but you know what I'm saying. Like there's
weirdo.
I can't shake the place.
No, yeah. Just especially the reputation that it has. Yeah. Same with Richmond High, where I went.
Right.
And like I teach freshmen too, and our freshmen come into Kennedy with a lot of their own preconceived notions of what Kennedy is.
Right.
And you get there, and it's not that. I mean, crazy shit happens at Kennedy all the time, but it's not like this place that it's notorious for being. If you go to the library and you meet Mr. Bader, or you like spend any time in like any of the classes, or I don't know, or just get to know the older students. I mean, our seniors, like the leadership crew of seniors, which I only know by extension or just by being my TA. I've never taught seniors, but they're such great advocates for the younger students and for the community. It's just awesome. And I think I love that about Kennedy too. I also loved being a part of the teacher strike, and like having our students come out to the school board meeting and just like voice their concerns was just like, it's like moments like that where I'm like, I love being here. This like, this place is awesome. Like,
awesome.
And I do feel, there's something that's like, it's like very not bougie. It's just like
we're doing the work and actually being involved with. I don't remember, in my age, students were as involved with what the adults are talking about in the meetings with the teachers. These kids are way more involved, and that's awesome to be behind that cause. That's we've had some people from those organizations that that they're deeply involved with trying to fix not just Richmond, but going forward for the students.
Exactly.
Do you think that's a totally good thing, or do you see some like scary parts in that for kids being too involved in what?
Before you answer that, give Marco's first non-music question. Come on.
Let him live. Let him
geek out, man.
Guys, this interview is for me only. It's not even gonna get published.
I definitely have we'll circle back to my question later. But yeah, go on.
I don't know. I have to think about that. I think I really like the idea of students having not just going on a field trip to the school board meeting, but actually being an active participant in the conversations.
Having a say.
And I mean, to be honest, there's so much work to be done. I feel like we're gonna have a new principal next year, and I won't say anything, but
we'll edit this part out.
But district comes and says like we want the community's thoughts on this, but a lot of it's lip service. There aren't always authentic avenues for for young people and students to be involved, but I don't know. I think there probably are limitations, but I think at this moment it was just cool to see.
Yeah,
I was standing next
it's
to
a positive
student, and we were both like, "Yeah, strike!"
Yeah,
it was just great.
Yeah. Joaquin, you had a question?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So it is somewhat music related, but also somewhat teacher related, and something you don't know unless I shared this with you. Stop me if I did, or rather, please don't stop. But I wanted to ask how much your experience with music informs your what's the right word I'm looking for? I'll call it leadership over the K-pop after school club.
I don't think I would be the co-supervisor of the K-pop club if I hadn't been at Allstar Weekend. It's a kind of like me being at Kennedy. It's random for me to be the co-supervisor of the Korean pop music club at our school. But yeah, I realized early on in teaching that young people like K-pop, and I was like, I like this music, it's good. And I also
tell us why, Mr. Porter.
I've done music that's similar to this in some ways.
Okay.
I like how you play. You probably say that in front of students. I played a little music back then.
Yeah. You ever find yourself going, I bet you the label convinced them to make that decision in the music video? Because with my situation, I mean in other situations.
I always have thoughts. One thing I love about the K-pop is they've brought back the music video. That's a cool thing.
Yeah.
So I felt kind of.
Yes. They're getting a little obsolete there.
Yeah, and all of them are like themed. It's like the vampire theme music video, whatever it is. It's cool to see the music video coming back. And in terms of the leadership of the K-pop club, mostly I just am there as an adult figure. We don't really do much.
Chaperone.
But it's when they show up, because we're working on attendance.
It is Kennedy. No,
It is high schoolers.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's another thing.
We just moved from Thursdays to Mondays.
You're competing with my D&D club on Mondays. So.
Yeah, it's tough.
Mm-hmm.
With the movie just coming out too. No, we're getting off.
We had a field trip where we brought.
I bet.
Oh, speaking of, we had we invited some K-pop students to come with us for a field trip yesterday to the Cherry Blossom Festival. I
heard that. I heard it was fun.
That's not what he heard.
No, I saw Miss Yanagihara yesterday, and I think. I don't know who were all the teachers that went.
It was Miss Yanagihara, Mr. K, myself, and who am I forgetting? Oh, Mr. Sung, of course. I mean, he founded the entire institution of that particular field trip. But yeah, that's who all went.
Yeah,
and we had a good group of students, not as much as we were hoping for, but then again, it's Kennedy, right? But no, it was a lot. It was a blast. The kids got to kind of experience J-Town. Some of them had never been. And that's like the 10th trip I've been on chaperoning, something like that. So it's just nice to see the next generation.
Yeah, definitely.
Enjoy that.
That's a cool tradition.
Field trips are amazing.
They are.
What's it like working with Joaquin?
It's good. I mean, we really don't work together on a daily basis. We're in such different parts of the school programs, but. It's great.
That was a good cover up.
It's just the truth. It's just the truth.
That's what I was going to ask is how did it come up, you asking him to come on, especially since you're I
know how.
What?
Cold as that.
No. I know that, but because you mentioned that you haven't really done interviews, you've been off social media, so how well, I kind of want to ask it why did you agree to this,
Okay.
Oh, that's a great question. I think I know the answer. Well, Joaquin asked me in the staff lounge. I think it was at lunch.
In front of everybody.
Every day the hardest thing for me about teaching is just managing my bladder. So I have very, very strict times.
Oh my God.
Yes. That's me here.
People don't realize how hard it is.
I be trying to drink more water throughout the day and stuff like that. Then I'm like, no, that's just more bathroom breaks.
Yes, it's more pain.
One
like I started drinking a jug of water, and I quit after like a week and a half because it was just like because anytime you're like, all right, you're just running.
So I always, the last 10 minutes of lunch, I always go to get my final scheduled bathroom break.
Yep.
And so I always, and I try to, I said I do have good work-life balance stuff, but I work during lunch so I can leave earlier. So I usually don't hang out during lunch, but there's a really cool group of teachers who are always in the staff lounge. And I was on my way to my bathroom break. I don't know why this is part of the story, but and Joaquin asked me, and I to answer your real question though, the reason why
he just wanted to tell us about his bowel movements.
Yeah, I know.
Bladder, okay.
Bladder.
Yeah. That was way different.
Yeah.
I picture Joaquin on your way to the bathroom. Like, hey, you want to do our podcast? And you had to be like, yeah, sure, I'll do your podcast. Like, move out of the way.
No, I think.
Aren't you that Dungeons and Dragon nerd? Can you go to the bathroom? You guys are no match for my K-pop group.
I know it's a war. Yeah, I'm never doing a podcast.
I'll do your podcast. Just don't speak to me in the next stall. Like, come on. Man.
Yeah.
Sorry.
He's like, hey man, take a look at this podcast we do. Get a shit.
I did not. My intention was not to keep him from going to the restroom. I want to say that for the record.
No. That's neither here nor there. But I think ultimately, I do enjoy thinking about the story. Not all the time. It's one of those things too where it's really hard when someone will ask, like some student questions about it are tough because love my students, no filter, and they'll just be like, why the fuck do you quit, bro? Like, and then like all my wounds just like come to this. And it's like, it does take like a little bit of a longer, like a longer forum to talk about it. So I'm very honored that you all wanted to have me here. But I think ultimately, like if I was going to do it, and there is a literal teacher or employee at Kennedy who has a podcast, and Kennedy and Richmond are awesome. Why not do it here where I work and where with like the community that I'm in now. So I didn't think about it. I just said yes, and then I think that upon reflection, that's probably why.
Does this make you nervous at all to have this coming out? I mean, like I said, 17 viewers. You're probably not
the majority of our listeners are Richmond, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it does make me a little nervous. I think I'm nervous to be speaking into a microphone again. In some ways, I'm very rusty.
Yeah.
So
I like how you're holding it like very
holding it far away. Like,
what is this?
This looks familiar.
Yeah.
I used to do this in front of 10,000 people.
My question is, like students ask you like, "What the fuck you quit?" Like, so like because we do comedy. Like I work at a school, and then I just don't tell people I do comedy. They just assume,
I don't tell my coworkers
like,
either.
they just assume I'm just like kind of funny, right? And then like, but is there ever like in the staff lounge when you're trying to go use the bathroom, like there's a teacher like coming to you like, oh, I heard you used to perform in like a group was called Allstar Weekend, and they ask you this rabbit hole of stuff like what, like is that ever a fear? Because I know students ask you, but like, or has a coworker asked you that?
Yes.
It's like people finding out you're Superman at the end.
Right.
Yeah. I don't think any of the administrators know yet, and I hope they
keep it that way. Yeah.
Keep it that way.
Exactly.
They're going to ask you to be the new band teacher if you tell them.
Yeah.
So our vice principal did ask last year that very question. We lost our band teacher last year, and our former vice principal was like, "Hey, I was wondering if you'd be interested in like being a more permanent long-term sub for band, like given your background and stuff." I was like, very different.
Right.
I can't even really read music. So
Was it
like I could teach you how to write a pop song.
Yeah.
Which act
like,
was it? Was it
especially in
Mr.
Kennedy.
B? Was it Mr. B?
Whoa!
Yeah,
No names.
I said B. I didn't say the full name.
No, it was Helen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I know Helen. That was one thing I was going. I know Helen.
Who is awesome and who hired me, but
she left. Never mind. Okay.
We don't talk about that situation.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that was one of the things I was wondering. Like when we was talking about discussing teaching, like, did you get into teaching and never think about wanting to teach music as this kind of a way, like to pass down information and knowledge, or just be like on a different side of helping kids like create art? Or was it just you just got into teaching and fell into like an English position?
That's a great question. I got into English because it helps me with art. My biggest strength as a songwriter was I was really into lyrics. Yeah. And when I started undergrad, I was like, I want to study English literature because I think it'll make me a better songwriter. And there's always been a connection between creativity and English for me. I think, and I had an opportunity once to teach a creative writing class, which was really cool. I think it might be cool to teach a songwriting class at some point or something like that. But also I think on a more general level, and being an English teacher is cool because it can be a little free form, and I more just enjoy learning about what my students like to do and what like kinds of ways they're creative. And so it's like, oh, that's cool. And so I'm not trying to like teach all of my students to write a song whether they want to or not. Right. But
I think you have a student in your songwriting class right here.
I would love to take that class.
I'd have to figure out how to do that, but
I imagine when you teach a unit on poetry, it's bomb.
It's all my units are questionable at this point. It's my third year teaching, so I don't think any of them are that good.
Same, man. Same.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we got into it as much, but I'm curious what like you listen to a lot now.
Oh, that's a good question.
That was my next question. Yeah.
I mean, I'm a voracious music listener, but there's no sort of like constant stream or theme. I just listen to everything. I'm always looking for inspiration in different places. So this year I listened to mostly older stuff. I go through phases where I'm listening to current stuff, and then years where I'm like, I want to listen to this obscure 70s folk singer only. And I wrote my thesis at Berkeley on country music. I got really into the working class politics of like the country voice or the lack of voice, like who speaks in country music and like who are they speaking for. So I wrote a thesis about working class politics and country music. I love country music as like it's a really problematic, weird genre, but I think there's a lot for songwriters to learn from it. But I don't know. I listen to everything. Okay. My favorite record this year, I guess not this year. I don't know what's out in 2023, the year of our Lord. But in 2022, there's this band called Big Thief. Their album was really awesome. It's like an indie rock band. But
I don't know if you've ever heard this, but listening to your voice right now, it reminds me of you watch interviews of as I listen to his music of Jeff Buckley.
Oh, I love Jeff Buckley.
You guys have the same voice.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know who that is.
Calm down, Marcos. JD's not interrupting on your territory.
I'm not saying anything. Yeah.
I was going to ask that too, because I was like inspiration and just like always looking for something. Because you, as you were talking, you made me think like you said English literature. Like when I have a ton of books at home. I read a lot, and it takes me like it's like a far off place to like think of all like different creative stuff. I remember driving here, like random inspiration. Like I was thinking of because today's Sunday and it's like church, and I started writing jokes about church in my head and I was like, oh my god, and then I'm like, oh snap, focus, like on the road. But I'm like, and then all of a sudden I look at the group chat and he was like, how close are you? And I'm like 7 minutes, and I go back to like my church jokes and like in my head, and so I'm like on the freeway driving here.
It's crazy you say that because I did that on stage while performing. Think about like I was hungry. Yeah. It sounds like improv. Yeah. And I was thinking about what should we eat after this show. While
that's awesome.
Yeah. That's happened to me before. I remember on a stage at a show, I'm like performing and I'm trying to stay focused. And like then I had an out of body experience of like it was like yo, this is going good.
Like you're performing on autopilot.
Yeah, and it was
this
like
happens for musicians all the time.
And I was like, oh my god, this is doing good. And it's like a pack full. I'm like, yo, I feel great up here. Like this is like I belong here.
Yeah.
And I was like, and it was like a random like thing to myself. It was like, you're gonna be back selling this bitch out, like kind of a thing. And then I was like, and it was like this. And it was kind of like when Doctor Strange like knocked Spider-Man out of this thing, right? And then it was just like a boom back, and I'm like back on stage finishing like the joke, and it was like super crazy.
You used to get that.
I can totally like what you described has happened to me so many times back then and now sometimes too. I sometimes I even just put the voice memo record button on when I start driving because I'll just be thinking of a melody or something like that.
That's awesome.
I need to start doing that.
That's what when you describing that happened. That happened at Factory Bar the other day, and what kind of brought me back was that lady that mentioned something about the painting, and in my I went along with it, but in my head I was like, shh, shut up, lady.
Okay, because I struggle with writing sometimes, so I can like, or you ever think of something, right, or like of how you want to say, and then translating it to paper.
Speaking
like,
to.
Speaking to.
Huh?
Speaking
no,
to.
But still, it's hard to. Shut up. Fuck you. All right.
He needs an English class too. That's what we're trying to say.
Yeah. So it's just because my brain like works like this sometimes, and I'm like, it's harder to regurgitate it out, like concisely and clearly.
Yeah.
So that's why sometimes I struggle because I might have already moved on to like another thought, and I'm trying to go back to the thought I had originally.
No,
So it's like the voice thing. I'm like always trying to. And I wrote this in my head, but then voice, I'm almost there. Like, you ever feel like a connection, like if you ever get to where it is in your head and like on paper or voice, like that's like the real.
You mean finding the words or actually saying your thought?
I guess it's the
articulating what you're thinking. Probably.
Yeah, exactly. Because like in your head, you can be like way deeper, and it's like way better in your head, but then the process of getting it to it is not as concise.
Yeah, distilling it down to whatever. Yeah, no, and sometimes writing things down, it's kind of like it's like holding up a mirror to your thoughts in a weird way. It can be like, it's can be brutally honest. The paper is kind of honest with you about like, but sometimes I think the stuff going on in your head, it really was that deep, but you just couldn't like.
Exactly, I can't bring it down.
You couldn't bring it down.
And then like I've brought like a bit of it down, and then it goes like something else. I was like, that was not as deep as it was up here.
Especially when you say you teach like English learners.
Yes,
that's an issue too. When I'm thinking of something that sounds great in Spanish, trying to explain it with that same it's a struggle.
Yeah, thinking in a different language or being creative in one language.
So you speak Spanish?
No, a little bit.
Not yet. They
supported me. Yeah, I'm working on it. Yeah.
Well. We want to thank you for coming.
It's seriously an honor.
This is an honor to have you.
Thank you.
We'd like to have you again if possible. If you're ever in town during one of our shows, we'd love for you to come out.
Yeah,
May 20th.
Do you do shows at the Factory Bar? Is that what you're saying?
What a coincidence!
Well, we're actually doing one on the 20th.
Oh dang!
It's gonna be this
May 20th.
This
May
20th.
May 20th. It's gonna be this in front of a live audience with some comics friends of ours that are gonna come by.
Our 200th episode.
200th episode.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we do every 100th live.
I will check my schedule, but I am 90% there already.
We do a monthly show also, so if you ever want to come check out some stand-up comedy,
that's cool. I would love to be there and support you guys.
JD's super funny.
And Corday is super funny. He's open for who's that? Nick Cannon, Eddie Griffin.
Nick Cannon. I would open for Nick Cannon though. I would. That's a great opportunity. Open for him and then wilding out. Like he has great business, man.
Exactly.
Nick Cannon,
all
you are
12
amazing.
people, man. Great show.
Any last things you want to put out there? Obviously not social media because
You're like, hey Zach, where can we find you? Please don't.
If you find me on social media, it might be a catfish. Seriously though, that was a problem for a while.
I was gonna say there's 3 Zach Porters with your profile picture right now.
Yes. Don't
interact with them.
But no, just thank you all for having me. It was cool to look back on some of these things and to talk about Richmond and Kennedy too. So I'm very grateful and humbled by the opportunity.
Any message to old fans that maybe were disappointed that you left music?
I'm alive and well.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, and
I'm kidding.
I hope you're doing wonderful out there.
And that is
my life has just been made.
And that's been the Voice Party.
And we're out.
I take a petting this.
Thank you so much.